It's Saturday, March 31st, 2018. And it's time for My 10's. As you can see, the My 10, it's my 10 favorite Simpsons episodes. This is my 10 favorites, which is always subject to change, because usually my favorite Simpsons episodes are mood-based. Now, the only ones that never ever change is number 1 and number 2. The top 2 never change. Those 2 are my favorite episodes. I can watch them anytime, all the time. But the other ones, I go through, it's like, oh, that one's good. Oh, well, it just depends on who I'm in the mood to see featured Simpsons-wise, I guess. So, this is just my opinion. I'm not telling you that these are the top 10 best. This is just my favorite 10 episodes of The Simpsons as of, March 31st, 2018. It's like if I do this March 31st of 2019, 3 through 10 might be different. Just depends what mood I'm in. So, most of these are early episodes. Most of these probably happen in the first 8 seasons. And I'll tell you this right now, none of them happen in the first season. The first season, it's weird. The first season got me into The Simpsons, but when I go back and watch those episodes, I'm not a huge fan of really any of them. The only one that can still kind of make me laugh is the one where they go in for the mental health care thing, and they're all slamming the buttons and electrocuting each other. That one still gets a chuckle out of me, but it's not one of my favorites. So, we'll start at number 10, and this is actually kind of a recent one. This one happened like a couple years ago. And I don't know the names of all of these episodes. I just know basic descriptions. There was a Boston College points shaving scandal years ago in the 80s. Well, ESPN did a 30 for 30 on that point shaving scandal. Well, The Simpsons kind of did a thing similar to that, but with the Boston College. They did a similar thing, but they did it with Bart as like a point shaver or something like that, where Fat Tony got involved, and and he was telling him that he needed to throw games, telling Bart that he needed to throw games so that the bettors could win, and it's actually a really good episode. And people say, well, there are no good episodes in the newer Simpsons. There are. This one was really good. It even makes my top 10. I watched it a few times. It's a good episode. It genuinely made me laugh in parts, and I guess I just liked the tie-in. I thought it was very well done. The tie-in to the Boston College point shaving scandal and the ESPN 30 for 30. So I really like the episode. It's one of the newer ones. It's really good, and so they still can produce some magic. Number 9, Herbert Powell. The first time you see Herbert Powell. Homer's that terrible car that they let Homer create. But, they call him Unky Herb, and, he's got more hair, of course, and he's way more successful, and, Grandpa Simpson thinks he's, going to die, so he wants to tell Homer about, his baby brother that, is kind of born from a carnival girl or something. So, he said, it's like, this, Grandpa basically tells Homer, it's like, this girl would do things your mother would never do, like have sex for money. It's just like, well, I would hope you wouldn't have to pay your wife for something like that. But it's a hilarious episode. I mean, of course, at the end, Homer ruins them, and the car costs like $80,000 because of how expensive it is, and it's got bubble domes and a La Cucaracha horn. It was such a horrible car, the Homer, but it's a great episode. Number 8, Homer's Barbecue, where this is, I think, the episode where they basically establish that Lisa is going to be a vegetarian. And Homer wants to have a giant barbecue for the neighborhood. And of course, all the meats in the world, and he wants to have a giant pig. And there's a part of it where he's talking about, Lisa doesn't want to eat anything that comes from animals anymore. So he says, well, you're not going to eat ham? And she goes, no, what about pork chops? And she goes, no, what about bacon? And she goes, no. It's like, Dad, those are all from the same animal. And Homer goes, yes, Lisa, one magical animal. You know, it's a hilarious. Then, of course, the best part is where she pushes the pig down the hill or whatever, and everything it goes through, it's like Homer's going, it's still good, it's still good. It's like, it's just a little slimy, it's still good, it's still good, it's just a little airborne, it's still good. And then Bart has to go, Dad, it's gone. He goes, I know. It's like, it's a great episode. Well, it's hilarious. I mean, if you're a Simpsons fan, you probably know these and you'll remember stuff that I'm not remembering because, the early stuff was very memorable. And number 7, Krusty's Comeback Special. Now, I'm not sure why this one rates so high for me, other than I think it's because of just how powerful the Simpsons were for a time. To be able to get people like Johnny Carson, Elizabeth Taylor, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and a lot of other big names that were in that episode. Hugh Hefner was in there and things like that. I mean, they had a lot. Bette Midler. They had a lot of. They might have already said Bette Midler. Don't ask me why I said it. No, I said Elizabeth Taylor. But they had a lot of really big names that ended up in that episode. And I remember the one great part about that, of course, that's the one where Gabbo comes into. Gabbo comes into the scene, and we see him for the first time. And Gabbo is coming on, and you see these commercials, and it's like, and it's Gabbo, Gabbo, Gabbo. And, Homer's sitting there mesmerized and goes, we need to watch that. It's like, it's a show about a guy named Gabbo. So it's a great episode. And, of course, Johnny Carson has the one part where he's, like, spinning a Buick over his head or something. It's like, okay, I get it. You're a great entertainer. Wouldn't picture Johnny Carson spinning a Buick over his head. Number 6. This is one of the Treehouse of Horrors. Treehouse of Horror number 6. It's the one that had the 50-foot eyesores, Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace, and Homer Cubed. Now, of course, that's the one where a lot of people, that's their favorite Treehouse of Horrors because of, the 3D effect and him falling into the real world in 3D. I mean, he falls into that trash can and he finds the weird erotic edible cakes place, and the best part where it's like he's standing in there and it's like, has anybody ever seen Tron? And everybody's going, no, 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 no. And then Chief Wiggum goes, yes. He goes, wait, no, no. But the 50-foot eyesores, of course, where all the neon signs come to life, and like Lard Lad and a lot of these other ones. Then the next one is because Homer steals his donut. Homer steals Lard Lad's donut, so all of them come to life after getting hit by weird lightning. And they say, if you just give him back the donut, all of this will be over. Then, of course, he just goes down the street wrecking more houses, and Homer looks at Marge and goes, don't you ever get tired of being wrong? And she goes, sometimes. They also had the Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace, where it's the one where Willie is Freddy Krueger. So there's the part where they were talking about the misprinted calendars, and they come in and it's like lousy March weather, and so Homer wants to turn up the heat because it's so cold, and so on the thermostat it says do not touch Willie, and and Homer reads it and he goes, do not touch Willie. Good advice. And he still cranks it up because it goes, don't touch Willie. And so, of course, Willie's on fire. He dies and he comes back in their dreams. So it's a hilarious episode. And so we're going to go on to number 5. 5 is the Cape Fear. It's based off of Cape Fear, where Krusty Sideshow Bob is going to kill Bart, so they put him in a witness relocation program. So they move him somewhere else, and of course, Sideshow Bob follows them, and it is based off the movie Cape Fear, and of course he's trying to stall for time. Bart's trying to stall for time, so that Sideshow Bob doesn't kill him, and asks him to sing the entire score of the HMS Pennyfor or whatever. it's a, bake them away, toys. And it's like, what, Chief? What'd you say? It's like, just do what the kid says. We're up to number 4. 300-pound Homer. Great episode. I talked about it a little bit in my nostalgia tripping show, where he gains all that weight, and so that he can get on disability, and he gets to stay home, and works on his little station, and then he has the little bird that hits the Y button for him so that he can hit yes he triples his work production because he can hit Y. And he's going to go to a movie, and then Bart says, he's wearing his muumuu, and he goes, Bart says to Homer, it's like, you told Mom you weren't going to wear your dress anymore outside. And he goes, nuts to that. But a great episode. He eats the Play-Doh, and it's like, there's the part where he's going to eat the fish sandwich. He goes, I don't know, Bart, fish sandwich. But it's like, if you rub grease onto those wrappers and things like that, it'll wipe off the coloring. So of course he goes, oh, fish sandwich, and he wipes it on the wall. It basically, clears off whatever, and then a bird slams into it. The weird part about that is it's true. The grease from that stuff will take like the paint or whatever the graphics or logos are on paper. It will do that and make it clear. It's a weird thing, because I've done it a few times. It's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be eating this stuff, but it's delicious. Number 3, Frank Grimes. I don't need to say much more than Frank Grimes. This is a great episode. This is I think it's called Homer's Enemy. One of the best episodes, of course. In fact, I think my top 3 may never change. That one's a great, great episode where Frank Grimes at the end is going, it's like, I don't have to wash my hands. I'm Homer Simpson. It's like, well, I'm better than great. I'm Homer Simpson. He goes, you wish. But, it's where he makes the contest. Frank Grimes wants to show how stupid Homer is, so he puts him in a contest for kids, and, he beats the kids or whatever, and Frank Grimes is pointing it out, going, see, he's in a contest for kids. He's an idiot. And he wins, and it's like he's in a contest with kids, and it's like, yeah, and he beat their brains out. Way to go, Homer. Number 2, Treehouse of Horror, number 5. This had The Shinning, Time and Punishment, and it had another one that I didn't write down. Must not have been as good as the other ones, but of course, Shinning, great. I talked about that in the episode where I remembered The Simpsons, the nostalgia. The Shinning, of course, is still my favorite. It's still my favorite. It's based on The Shining. If you're a Simpsons fan, you see it, you know it. It is, and it also has the one that has Time and Punishment. Time and Punishment is hilarious too. That's the one where he fixes the toaster or whatever. And one of my favorite lines, almost in any Simpsons episode, is when he says, time to take it for a test toast. And it's like, I think life should have lots of test toasts. Great episode, though. Like I said, number 2 never changed, but number 1, this is the all-time greatest. You only move twice. Hank Scorpio taking over the world, hiring Homer to get his nuclear reactor up and running, and it's like, hey, Homer, if you could kill a couple people on the way out, it would really help me out. It's like, Homer, I'm having a little trouble with the government, and Homer's like, oh, the government, don't get me started on those guys. Homer's so oblivious to the whole thing, and Homer's doing a good job, and I felt bad because Homer's like, man, Homer's rocking it, man. He's actually doing a really, really, really good job, and his whole family is failing miserable. His wife sits there, and she goes, I'm miserable here. I'm drinking a glass of wine a day. She goes, I know you're supposed to drink a glass and a half, but I just can't drink that much. And Lisa's allergic to everything, and Bart is in the remedial class. I mean, it's just such a great episode. But like I said, if you're a Simpsons fan, you probably know that episode. I don't have to tell you everything that happens in it. But I still love The Simpsons. I'm still glad they're making new ones. Like I said, every once in a while you stumble onto another good one, and so I keep watching them because I am still entertained. So, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.